Hey friends, as you know by now, I love to read. I've done a couple of videos about reading books, and of course I have my Healthy Readers Book Club. And I saw this article in Book Riot not that long ago. I'll leave the link down below. It had a bunch of questions in it about book reading. I really enjoyed reading the article, and it got me to thinking about what my answers would be. So I have created this list of 10 questions from the article, and I've got my answers that I've put together here. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you'll take the time to figure out what your answers would be to these questions as well. So question number one, how would you describe your personal library? I would say that it's cozy, it's comforting, and I get a sense of enjoyment from having my personal library. Question number two, describe your library space. That's actually a little bit of a hard one. It would be great if I had a room that was completely dedicated to books, but I don't. And I instead have a bookshelf in virtually every room of the house. I've got bookshelves, I've got books piled on tables or on a desk. Bookshelves are in the living room, the family room, the guest bedroom. Oh my gosh, I've got 2 huge bookshelves in the guest bedroom. And weirdly enough, even though I love cookbooks and I have a lot of them, I don't actually have a bookshelf in the kitchen. It's in the family room, which is next to the kitchen. So my library space is my house, basically. Okay, number 3, how many books make up a personal library, or how many books do you own? When I thought about it, I realized I really do have a lot of books. I went and I counted the cookbooks. I have 107 of those, and I actually have purged recently. I'll talk about that in just a minute. If I do some quick math and I look at my book collections and where they are and approximate how many are on a shelf, I probably have around 1,000 books. However, this does not include the 3 boxes of books that I keep in my closet that are to be used to stock my little free library. I have a little free library outside my house, and I love playing librarian and going out there and rummaging around, reorganizing them. And when it gets low, I restock. I don't count those books though, because I'm not keeping those. They're just to go into the library. Okay, question number 4. How do I choose books? I think like everybody, I just choose books I like. If I'm reading the back of it and I like it, I will get it. There are some books that I need for work, so I certainly get those. I do, however, have a weakness for book sales. It's a bit of a challenge, and my husband has been known to steer me away from the book table when we go to estate sales or other places where they're selling books. The end of year library sale, the twice a year $5 a bag sale at the charity shop, those are really challenging for me because I can usually always find something that I want. But I just pretty much choose what I like. Question number 5, how do you cull books? Oh, it's so hard. It's so painful for me to cull books. I have a really difficult time with that. I have done it several times in my life. Sometimes because we were moving and we just didn't have the space to bring the books with us. The last time I culled books was because I was seriously out of bookshelf space. I not only am out of bookshelf space, I am at a loss to figure out where else I could put bookshelves. At one point, I had the thought that if I could reconfigure my staircase and turn all of the risers into bookshelf space, that would be great. But probably very expensive because it would have to be engineered to hold the weight. Books are heavy. And I will say that when I go through, I have to think really careful about what I've got. In this last round, I finally got rid of a bunch of books from college. Given that I graduated decades ago, it was probably time, but I do find it very challenging to let go of them. Just, I don't know, I think everybody has to come up with their own reason as to why they will keep or not keep a book. So it's a bit challenging. Number 6, how do you organize your personal library? I tend to keep my books together by type. For example, I'm sitting here recording this in my office. I have a bookshelf over there that has all of my books for work. And I have Downstairs, obviously, my cookbooks that I talked about. I also have various different books. I've got gardening books, I've got craft books, I have fiction books, I have a number of different collections. I've always thought it'd be really great to alphabetize my books within each subset, but I never keep it that way. So I've done it a couple of times in my life, and every time it gets messed up. I'm not very organized that way. I know approximately where a book is because the bookshelves are by category. I will say my cookbooks are organized by color because my daughter did that for me, and it looks so pretty that I leave it, and I have to hunt sometimes for a book, but I really like the way it looks. The rest of them, it's just because I know this type of book is going to be on this bookshelf, and that's how I do it. How do you keep track of your books? I don't. Especially with this many books, it would be cool if I used an app or something like Goodreads or that kind of thing. I just don't. It's too much work. And at this point, it's too many books to go through and try to figure out how to get them into some sort of spreadsheet or app or whatever. So I simply don't. I will say that about 5 years ago, I started a book journal, and I journal for the books that I have read that year. At 1 year, I wrote down synopses of the books and everything else, and that just got overwhelming. So I stopped doing that. Instead, I just write the title, the author, and I know that I read that book in that year, and that's good enough for me. Question number 8, have you read every single book you own? No, I have not. I've read the majority of them. One of the beauties of having a little free library outside is that I love having a little library. I love encouraging people to read, and people come and they drop off books and they borrow books and they drop off books. And sometimes I run out there and see what's in there and add to my collection of books to be read. I have decided that I am a huge fan of the Japanese philosophy of tsundoku, which is the accumulation of books beyond which you intend to read, but probably beyond your ability to read them. At this point, I think I'd have to live to be 134 to read all the books I own, but I'm getting there. I'm working on it. Okay, question number 9, paper, audio, or electronic? The 1,000 books that I referred to is all paper. And I do have some electronic books, some ebooks. I like those if I'm traveling. I keep them on my Kindle, my iPad e-reader thing. And that way I have access to them if I'm going on a trip and don't have to weigh down my suitcase with books. But the vast majority of my books are paper. And with the ebooks, it's usually because I'm borrowing them from the library and then I return them. I will say I don't do audiobooks. I've tried several times and it does not work well for me. I struggle to be able to read an audiobook and learn from it. So I just don't enjoy doing that. My personal thing. And last question, number 10, how do you get or give book recommendations? Friends, my sister-in-law works in a library. She's always great for good recommendations. I have several aunts who also love to read, and if I call them, they're always telling me what they're reading, and I get some great recommendations from them. And then I also just love hearing from people in my circle. Someone says, oh, I'm reading this great book. And I actually just recently discovered that a colleague of mine who I admire deeply is a huge reader. And it turns out she and I have very similar interests in books. So I shared a recommendation with her. She really liked it. She shared one with me. I really liked it. So I think we've just become book buddies. But learning what other people are reading is certainly one. And then always just keeping your eye out. You never know what you're going to see when you're at the library or the bookstore or a book sale. Those are the 10 questions. And like I said, I hope you'll sit and think about how you like to read and what your answers would be to this. In the meantime, I also would ask you to click that subscribe button so we can stay connected and you can hear if there's more fun book stuff coming. Have a great day, folks. Bye.